it's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid. Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on...
Welcome to hour number 3 live right here on this Tuesday on the early line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. One more hour to go and a ton of college basketball handicaps to deliver to you on this monumental Tuesday. We've got conference tournament action starting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. And for the first day during conference tournament weeks, really a 2-week extravaganza, the high major level in men's college hoops now underway, starting in Kansas City in the Big 12 tourney. We'll preview some NBA games on this Tuesday, and of course, any updates we see around NFL free agency, we will bring to you here. A lot to get to, DRS, in this third and final hour.
No doubt about it. And again, this is a fun week just beginning today with some of the high majors here. And the games get better as we advance throughout the weekend. That's the best part. It's like, oh, I missed out on Monday, Tuesday. No, you didn't. Thursday, some of my favorite things. Like, you're going to have really good basketball teams in the middle of the afternoon on Wednesdays and Thursdays. That is absolutely tremendous stuff. And then Sunday, when the selection comes out, thank you. And by the way, I just want to point this out, too. Thank goodness a couple years ago when the Selection Sunday crew figured it was best to have like a 2-hour show, and the people stood up and said, I don't think so. I'm hacking that show, releasing everything. Don't you dare try to do that again. So I do like to remember those pieces of history out here. But Selection Sunday is fun where you just see the bracket at first, then you get to digest it. Then the very next day, like, okay, let me get that game plan together because nobody's out there just yet. And then away you go in the tournament. Love to see that happen here. So it's certainly a fun time. And it culminates on Sunday. And it's like, hey, the culmination is, oh, no, even more times better over the next 3 weeks. That's what's great about it.
In a respectful way, if you can bully somebody or some entity online to get something changed when it is so bad, you should always do
like
so.
3 hours to 1 hour. You know?
Who do we got to bully, though? Ourselves?
A lot of people. Me and you can do this. We can take a stand. Like, we can take a stand and we can get things done around here. The power of the people, Ben. Come on.
All right. I'm down. I'll join you in doing so. It would be a lot of fun. Noon to 1, 11 to noon.
Ooh.
Just a ton of handicaps. Now we're
switch
talking
shows around. 3 to 6 crew goes from 8 to 11. Our crew goes from 3 to 6. I mean, there's some things we can do with this network and not really have too many waves.
I love that. I really do love that for us. Maybe so. We'll start to talk to people, maybe respectfully online bully a few. But Donnie is right. The selection show on Sunday is one of the best at doing a reveal and unveiling now because they just give you the bracket, region by region, right away in the opening 20 to 25 minutes. What are you grabbing?
Yeah, I had to sometimes when there's keywords that I say that somehow like Gemini on Google picks up at certain times. I don't know why it does it, but sometimes I'll be driving in my car and out of nowhere, like the Google system starts talking to me. It even happened on the desk on Pro Football Today where I was going to like a rookie contract and it just started talking to me out of nowhere. So I don't know what causes it. Must be
what do you think you said right there?
General word. I don't know. Like
How
maybe
are the
it was
people?
listening like. No, we were maybe bullying the people online, and maybe that just popped it up out there.
Because we don't want to bully in a bad way, in a respectful way to get. Oh, well, not me. To get things done that need to be done. All right, let's hear from the people about the MVP race in the NBA. Is it done? Is it through? If you had a vote, who would you cast it for? You do have a vote in the Fade the Public poll. At SportsGrid on Twitter, who should win the NBA MVP award this season? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, or other? If you voted for other, that's fine, but really it is a two-horse race, and it's really probably not even a two-horse race. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a minus 440 favorite to win the MVP hardware this year, denying Nikola Jokic his fourth MVP award in the last 5 years. Pretty hefty favored number for SGA. Not necessarily that large of a margin, Donnie, in terms of this Fade the Public poll. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in front, but only just a little bit more than 53%. Nikola Jokic more than 40%. Are you surprised to see the public have this tight of a margin?
No, because it really should be that close. Like it is. Like we want to give it to SGA just because we like new things here, having a great season. It's his time. Could have gotten it last year, didn't get it. We'll get it this year. Nikola Jokic, look at the numbers that he's had on this season. And I know you can't do this, but we'll just have fun with it. Like move that back 10 years. This is the greatest season we've ever seen in the history of professional sports in the NBA. He's the MVP by far. Nikola Jokic averaged a triple-double the entire season. And it's like, wow, couldn't fast forward 10 years. It's like, he does that every year, though. Like, that's the penalty, Ben. He's so good every single year. It's like, are we going to give it to this guy again? Like, is he really the best? No, he is the best player on the planet, but that's not really graded. We want to give it to a guy having a fantastic season on a great basketball team. That's something new, and yes, equally deserving of it. But Nikola Jokic, make no mistake about it, is the best player. Like, if we started, and I don't know how NBA circles would go, Ben, but it's like, hey, draft your team. Like, Jokic would always go over SGA, no? Or is that just me?
I would Nikola Jokic is the best basketball player on planet Earth right now. Is he the greatest to ever do it? Not at this moment. Is he the greatest right now? Without a doubt, in my estimation. But Donnie's right. It's not just when you look who is the best basketball player or you see a guy averaging a triple-double once again with 29 points per game. Of course, that is the most valuable player to a team in the NBA, and his team is pretty darn good. Second best mark right now in the Western Conference. But that has been the story for Nikola Jokic the last half decade in the NBA. Is it fair? Probably not. Is it the reality? Yeah. And Donnie, it's one of the reasons where on Friday, Nikola Jokic has the first ever 30-20-20 game, 31 points, 22 dimes, 21 boards in NBA history, and he tightens the gap, but he doesn't flip to a minus money favorite or even move past Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's because he has to make history already on history, even to tighten the margin, let alone win the actual hardware. Not only is it voter fatigue because he has won 3 NBA MVP awards in the last 4 years, it's also he has set an incredibly successful standard for himself that if he is not overwhelmingly surpassing, not that it lacks luster, it just lacks a little bit of sizzle. And I would just say, although Nikola Jokic should and could and possibly can win MVP each and every year, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is more than deserving of the award this year. He is the NBA's leading scorer. He is averaging 33 points per game. He has 7 50-point games this year. I am pretty certain that no other individual in the NBA has multiple 50-point games this year, and very few even have a 50-point performance. He had 3 consecutive 40-point performances, including in the victory over the Nuggets on Sunday afternoon. And on top of that, Donnie, valuable, right? Is Nikola Jokic more valuable because he does everything? Perhaps. SGA does a lot. He is their point guard. He is still a great facilitator outside of being an electric scorer. He is second best in the NBA in terms of steals per game as well, maybe slightly overlooked on that side of the floor. And his Thunder team is on a record pace to be the 1 seed in the Western Conference at 53-12. That is also value to be the best player on the best team. To me, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There is no doubt about it. And it's not just, okay, well, we can't give it to Jokic. SGA is having an MVP caliber season without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, he is. But the crazy part about it is, like, if you uphold the seasonal statistics from Nikola Jokic throughout the rest of the games, which means he's probably getting a triple-double every single game on the way out. I was just doing a little research, 2016-27, that OKC team that had Russell Westbrook, that had all those triple-doubles and won the MVP. They finished 6th in the conference, when it looks like the Nuggets probably going to finish, what, 2nd overall in the conference here, and it's not going to get him the MVP. We'll see how it is down the stretch, and I assume this is going to tighten up. But barring a huge drop-off for OKC as a team, not just SGA, you could probably pencil him in for 30 a night. It's just crazy to see another player out there that averages way more than a triple-double. It's like, yeah, better luck next year. Like, what does he have to do next year to win it?
I think then he has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who won it, so it's like a year-on, year-off thing for Nikola Jokic. It very well might be. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, again, the minus 440 favorite. More on the early line comes your way up next.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. All right, he's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. Listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman up there.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and sort of working things out, but I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some, Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base, he went to DH, and Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Action around the association on this Tuesday evening. What I am sure is my co-host Donnie Rightside favorite segment of the day here on this Tuesday on the early line. The two premier NBA handicappers on this network get you ready. Could it be 15 consecutive wins for the Cleveland Cavaliers? The odds makers certainly expect that to be the case. 18.5-point spread in favor of the Cavs tonight at home in the land with a total of 228. Do the odds makers not understand that despite being on the second leg of a back-to-back with a change of venue, Brooklyn at home last night pulled off the upset against the shorthanded Lakers without LeBron James, maybe riding that momentum. I guess the odds makers do not. So the question, Donnie, not really 15. It should be 15. Cleveland an 18.5-point home favorite. The question really, how many points does Cleveland win this game by?
Yeah, Cleveland probably should cover the 18.5. Is that a little bit steep? Yes, it is. But also, if you're looking at the Brooklyn Nets on a back-to-back, they're actively not trying to win basketball games. They shouldn't have won last night. That should became as a shocker because you see them in the standings now. They're lined up with a couple teams. I want to say 22 wins, which means you better start losing basketball games to improve those ping pongs, and that's going to start tonight. So if you play on a back-to-back, I'm not even sure who shows up for the Nets. I would look even more towards first half. There might be a chance that, Ben, they are up 20 points at the first half break. And you're saying, all right, well, now they probably should win by 20, but I don't know how that's going to go in the third and fourth quarter. Minus 11.5 at the FanDuel Sportsbook is the first half. I think they might be up 15 plus at the break, and I'll take my chances. Now, granted, the Cavs could be up 6 at the break and then still win by 25 points. Yes, but I'm willing to take, like, you might get one of those 35-13 first quarters, and away you go.
Yeah, it might be a good look, DRS. As you said, 11.5 points is that first half number. Cleveland, by the way, on this current 14-game win streak, has been booked as a double-digit favorite in half of those games, 7 times laying at least 10 points, 3-4 against the spread. But if you look at the first half in a triumph quickly for the Cavaliers, maybe against the tired legs of the Nets, could be a way to go. Just to Donnie's point about Brooklyn, they are 4.5 games behind Chicago for an Eastern Conference play-in tournament spot. Probably not flirting with that with only about 18 games remaining here in the regular season. 22-42, same record as the Sixers, same amount of wins, although one more loss for the Toronto Raptors. You're trying to stack up as many ping pong balls to be in the lottery. The Nets did win outright as a 6-point home dog again against the Lakers last night. The Bulls pulled off an upset victory over the Indiana Pacers yesterday. Indiana back at home hosting Milwaukee. The Bucks a 2-point road favorite in Indianapolis. 233.5 is that total. Playoff positioning key here once again. Currently, the Milwaukee Bucks in the 4 spot, 36-27. Indiana a full game behind as the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference, 35-28. A playoff preview where home floor advantage could be a toss-up down the stretch.
Yeah, it always feels like to me when I take a look at the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm a sucker for them. Like, hey, look at that. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Dame Lillard going to play in this basketball game. And the line was 3.5 at the opening number. Now it's down to 2 on the live number at FanDuel. Let me jump in. I'm probably going to do that again tonight. But 2 teams that are on equal footing, as I should say. Total, by the way, 231.5, now sitting at 233.5, and other outlets showing 234.5. So that's on the rise. That might be the better way to play this game. But once again, I always fall into that Bucks trap. I'll take them again, -2 on the road to pick up the victory over the Pacers.
The Bucks have dropped 2 in a row. They had won 8 of their last 9 prior to that, covering in 7 of those 8 victories. The Pacers have dropped 3 in a row. A Pacers team known for its tempo, under in 6 of their last 8. But Indiana has been a really good underdog team this year in large part. Again, 3 consecutive losses for Indiana, 2 straight L's for Milwaukee. This would be the opening round playoff matchup, the 4-5 split in the Eastern Conference, if the season has a word to come to an end today. Now, as we go, just a 4-game slate in the NBA on this Tuesday night. We head to the Big Easy up next. The Pelicans at home hosting the Los Angeles Clippers. 7.5-point spread in favor of the Clips on the road. Total down by a few points from that number. Currently live at 222 and a hook. Can the Pels keep this game competitive at home tonight in NOLA?
I don't think so. I like the way the Clippers have started playing, bouncing back at this point now. And understand this line opened up at 7.5 early this morning at the FanDuel Sportsbook. This was down to 6 and has now ballooned up 1.5 points while we've been on the show. Some 7s are still out there in the marketplace and a 222 over. Sometimes there comes a point there the Clippers are trying to angle for the playoffs and seeding here. The Pelicans don't want to win basketball games. So outside of Zion Williamson starting tonight and going for, let's just say, 30, 16-6, I don't think they're going to be able to be all that competitive, which means I'm expecting a double-digit victory for the Clippers tonight. Yeah. Sooner than later, bad basketball teams understand the goal isn't to win anymore. And if the goal isn't to win, you got to fade them.
And New Orleans is a bad basketball team, despite some better play right around the All-Star break. They had won 5 of their last 7. Now they have dropped 4 in a row, only 1 cover in that span, their most recent game as a double-digit dog. The Clippers got off to a porous start out of the All-Star break. They had dropped 6 of 7. They did not cover in any of those 7 games. They've won 3 in a row. They have covered in 2 of the 3. They did beat Sacramento on Sunday on a last-second buzzer beater from Kawhi Leonard in OT. The Clippers still a really good favorite this year. Donnie, when you look at New Orleans, second worst record in the Western Conference at 17-48, only one team has been eliminated from playoff contention so far in all of the NBA. That's in the Western Conference, the Utah Jazz, 15-50. The worst record, the Washington Wizards, 13-50. They're the other game tonight at home. They're on the road taking on the Pistons. Detroit, 15-point favorite.
That's about all I can say about this game. You want to lay 15 points with the Pistons at home at this point. Should they beat the Wizards? Yes. Are the Wizards tanking? Absolutely. But I do agree with that line movement, 232 to 235. When you typically get bad basketball teams, guys are not looking to play much defense, just trying to get their points up, if that makes sense. That's probably the way I'd go, but come on now. 15-point spread. Stop it. Stop it, Detroit.
The Wizards have been an underdog in 52 of 53 games this year. 27-33-2 against the spread. Not awful, but hey, hopefully Cooper Flagg heads to D.C. More on the early line up next.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. All right, he's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. Listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman up there.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and sort of working things out, but I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some. Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base. He went to DH. And Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's get you ready for an awesome Tuesday in college basketball. On the men's side, we've got high major conference tournaments beginning in just about 2 hours. Big 12 tourney in Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma State. Some breakdowns coming. But, Donnie, even more than that, in the opening round games we will see at the high major level over the next 48 hours, we've got 4 tickets to be claimed to the NCAA tournament on this Tuesday night. Let's start with the best one. WCC tournament title game out in Las Vegas. It's Gonzaga and St. Mary's. The Gales sweeping the Zags in both games during the regular season, as St. Mary's claimed its second consecutive regular season crown in WCC action, now looking for its second consecutive conference tournament title against Gonzaga. Mark Few and his Bulldogs have often reigned supreme in this conference. With a win tonight, it would be 5 WCC tournament titles in the last 6 seasons. Gonzaga, 3.5-point favorite to exact some revenge against the Gales. Donnie, how do you see it playing out?
It's crazy, man. It really is. It doesn't make any sense when you look at this line. Neutral court site, a team that beat them both home and away this year in St. Mary's, who plays wonderful defense, has a great offense, and yet they're the underdogs. But technically, I do agree with that line, because you look at Gonzaga's offense, it's absolutely fantastic. Like the efficiency rating, 124.5, incredible. But St. Mary's does have a great defense. The one thing Gonzaga doesn't do is turn the basketball over. That is always going to help. But let's get down to the crux of the argument. When you talk about the three-point line, if you like to shoot the three-point shot, St. Mary's isn't the defense to do it against. Number 3 in conference play at only allowing 30% from three-point range, and number 1 in conference play at chasing you off the three-point line. Well, if Gonzaga shoots a three-point shot, it's going to be wide open, and they knock down their fair share at 36% of the time. But look at the overall numbers here. There's 11 teams in conference play. They're 11th at volume from three-point range, which means if the three is there, they'll take it, but they don't need to force it as a major part of their offense. Take a look at their point distribution inside the arc. Number 1 in conference play at 57% of their points coming from that direction. Look at St. Mary's defense. It is great, but where they're vulnerable just a little bit here, they don't give up points from the three-point line, but they do give them up in the paint. 58% of the total defensive points come from two-point range, which is number 1 in conference play. So if there is one angle to play, Gonzaga's team actually fits into that sort of parameters of what St. Mary's wants to try to force you to do, where they go, we don't need the three-point shot. We'll take it if it's there, but we will score inside the paint, and we'll be deliberate in doing that. So for me, I agree. I like St. Mary's, rooted for them all season long, but in this particular game, I think Gonzaga has a slight edge. And as I told you to start the show, a team that already lost twice to this team on a neutral court now, not a home court for St. Mary's, is an actual favorite. I'll buy into that. I think it's Gonzaga tonight.
It is the old cliche. It is the old adage. It is hard to beat a team 3 times in the same season. St. Mary's will try to accomplish that. Gonzaga, by the way, in both games against the Gales, first one in Moraga, second one in Spokane, booked as a slight favorite in both. St. Mary's pulled the outright upset, and because St. Mary's won, they dictated tempo, both games staying under. Donnie, there is no more correlation in my estimation with the total of 137.5. If you think Gonzaga wins tonight, the pace is probably up. The offense is efficient. The Zags, a top 10 offense in the sport, a top 10 rated team in KenPom at this moment, probably pushing to the over of that total. If St. Mary's is able to hunker down, probably keeps us under that number of 137.5. This is not a game where a team needs to win to earn the conference tournament and the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Both teams will go dancing. It is for bragging rights and supremacy in the WCC. Awesome game to be expected. 3 other conference tournament games on this Tuesday. Can the 12th seed in CAA action continue its magical run? That is Delaware taking on UNC Wilmington. The Seahawks an 8.5-point favorite. Horizon League final. Robert Morris, 3.5-point favorite against Youngstown State. If Youngstown State can win, DRS, first NCAA tournament berth as a D1 team that became a D1 team back in 1981, and the hottest team in college basketball. The Central Connecticut Blue Devils hoping to make it 15 straight wins, including every game in the NEC tournament, to earn the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Double-digit favorite now against St. Francis.
Yeah, Delaware's been hot. And by the way, that game should have some fireworks here. You take a look at UNC Wilmington's offense, number 1 in efficiency in conference play. They do a lot of things really well. That Delaware's defense, which, again, based on the regular season, they're atrocious on defense. But their offense is playing so well, it's covering up for the defense. I don't know if that's going to happen tonight. It's a pretty good footprint here for UNC Wilmington to have their way with Delaware's defense tonight.
And we'll continue to talk about those title games. What is at stake and the tickets up for grabs for the NCAA tournament up next.
which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room, like you giving like the Any Given Sunday inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like I just don't get how he is still employed. We gotta talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Possible that while every other state is trying to copy New York and get that 51% tax on sports betting, is it possible that New York will actually lower their taxes? That's surprising.
The question is, of course, what sports books could go there. I mean, we're already at 9 that are the biggest ones out there in the market. So, I mean, who are you really missing?
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Remember when everyone was upset about NIL? You know what NIL did? Make sure Cooper Flag wasn't playing with the G League Ignite. That's good for us. That's good for college basketball. When the best players are actually playing college basketball.
You're going to get battle tested. And it doesn't matter, Kevin, if you're at home or on the road. If you don't come ready to play in the SEC, you're going home with an L.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We'll get back into conference tournament week, but it's NFL free agency as well, and some big breaking news for the reigning Super Bowl champs. The Philadelphia Eagles have traded C.J. Gardner-Johnson, CJGJ, an emotional leader for that Birds defense, to the Houston Texans. We're not sure what it's in exchange for just yet. Heading back to Philadelphia, but Donnie, as you're trying to scour the interwebs to find out what exactly the deal is, what's your initial reaction for your Birds dealing Chauncey Gardner-Johnson?
I don't know. Like, do we not know something here? Like, CJGJ was just on Twitter like, man, get these bum blankety blank vets out of here. Let these young guys cook. Like, me and Reed Blankenship back here handling our business, and those young quarterbacks will be able to spin on the outside, only for him to be sent away. Oh, hold on. The Eagles are sending standout Gardner-Johnson to Texans for first-round guard Kenyon Green. Like, because I don't really know too much about former first-round guard. Yeah, this is catching me off guard right now. I'm not too understanding of what we're actually doing here. I don't know. Right, that's my topic right now. This is kind of weird.
Yeah. So Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M 3 years ago in 2022 was the first-round pick, 15th overall by Houston. Dealt with injuries, did not play the entirety of 2023, started 9 games last year in 2024 for a Texans offensive line that, of course, was not very good. The Texans trading away everybody on a bad offensive line, which is also an interesting move as well.
That means Mekhi Becton's not coming back then.
He's gone, right? Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to garner too much, you would think, at the guard spot for that.
Sounds not right.
It's Green in a 2026 fifth-round pick. CJGJ in a 2026 sixth-round selection headed back to Houston. Good for the Texans adding to that secondary. C.J. Gardner-Johnson still performing at a high level, of course, and is kind of that emotional piece for that Philadelphia secondary. Something's not adding up for you, huh?
Yeah, they had a missing piece. Yeah, Houston had a missing piece at safety. So they get Gardner-Johnson, who you love him more than like his coverage skills, is that he is going to be the dog in the fight. Like if anybody needs backup, that's your guy right there. And he sort of walks the walk and talks the talk at the same time. But his Twitter account might be fantastic over the next couple of hours if you want to watch this play out, because he's no stranger to, I'm going to move on from the team. I'm going to like that. Like, he just won a Super Bowl, and he'll tell you how bad the Eagles organization is. They can't play. Meanwhile, telling you the last couple of days, like, we're good over here. Like, we got so many ballers. So I don't know where this actually came from, but it's an interesting move that really caught me off guard. So the Eagles get their guard to replace Mekhi Becton, but give up one of the leaders in the secondary. And it's not like, hey, it's a first-round draft pick or who's slated to make $2 million this year. It's an odd move, man. Sometimes the NFL, I shake my head at. You trust Howie Roseman always has his eyes on the prize at this point, but that's a really interesting one. Again, just a couple days ago, we're good over here in the secondary. Let these other guys get out of here, and now he's out of here at this point.
Because the Eagles did release Darius Slay, who signed somewhere, the Steelers, I believe, right? Darius Slay made his way to Pittsburgh, and James Bradbury, who was also on that Super Bowl winning team, but not playing nearly as much. You give Howie Roseman the benefit of the doubt in any maneuver that he does make. Did Keely Ringo do anything with the Eagles this year? Right?
He might start this year on the outside. Yeah. That might be your outside corner now at this point. So the young kids are going to be cooking out here for sure at this point now. My goodness.
You know who's not just because there might be a spot to fill in the depth of the safety. You know who is not a safety? Cooper DeJean.
Now here's the point about that, which you got to look at Howie Roseman. Is he so devious that he starts playing Cooper DeJean a couple snaps at safety? So when he has to sort of get him a new contract, you're a safety, man. Deal with it, not a corner.
Tamper down the expectation a little bit for that white boy run.
I don't know.
That guy has been on? No, I don't think so. I don't think. You know what we didn't discuss also? Another trade yesterday, a little bit under the radar, but one that was kind of fun to monitor. The Eagles traded backup quarterback Kenny Pickett, who played down the home stretch for the Birds in the absence of the injured Jalen Hurts, to Cleveland. In return, Donnie and Thompson Robinson and a 5th-round pick back to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I mean, as of right now, the Browns don't seem like they're in love with a quarterback at the top of the market. I think we learned yesterday how some of the teams drafting in the top 10 view this quarterback draft class in 2025. Donnie, I think there's a good chance that Kenny Pickett is the Browns starting quarterback come week number 1.
No, it really could be, and they needed a veteran guy in there that can sort of handle it, but also understand this, like the Eagles gave up a decent draft pick for Kenny Pickett, but you know what the reason why Kenny Pickett's in Cleveland? Not because they don't like Kenny Pickett. They love Tanner McKee, the 3rd quarterback on the roster. Yeah. He's better than Kenny Pickett is. So now he gets ascension to that number 2 spot at this point, and the Eagles, just like every other team, if you have a pretty good backup quarterback that you feel has a young, talented base for himself, and the next year you might be able to flip him for a 3rd or a 2nd rounder. That's what they love. But this kid is better than Kenny Pickett, and that's the reason why Kenny Pickett ends up in Cleveland. Cleveland just a benefactor, got a cheap backup quarterback for a good price. Why? Because the Eagles really love their 3rd-string quarterback, not their 2nd-string quarterback.
Again, I'm not so sure Kenny Pickett is just the backup. Unless the Browns really make a move at the top of the NFL draft, you would think still a team in desperate need of a quarterback, certainly after the re-signing and extension for Myles Garrett, that if they told Myles, hey, you can still be in the hunt for a Lombardi, I can't even really say that with a straight face, you can still maybe make the playoffs as a team here in Cleveland. We're going to go get you a quarterback. We'll get you a Super Bowl winning quarterback as well. Yeah. I guess they did so in Kenny Pickett. All right, DRS. Some other news around college basketball and some other big games. Just did want to highlight the NEC tournament title game. Northeast Conference Championship till tonight between the hottest team in college basketball, the Blue Devils of Central Connecticut. 14 straight wins. They take on St. Francis, double-digit favorite. The Blue Devils were tested in the semifinal on Saturday against Fairleigh Dickinson. They had a 17-point lead at the break. FDU came all the way back in the second half to force OT. Central Connecticut did escape with a 4-point win, 76-72. Should be a good one tonight. A lot favors Central Connecticut in this matchup. Defensively very strong, very efficient on the offensive side of the floor. But I'm not so – the 10.5-point spread is an interesting number. Could be competitive tonight, as they all are in tournament title games.
No, couldn't. You take a look also at St. Francis on offense, Ben. In conference play, number 1 inside the arc, close to 56% as a team, which is very efficient. Now, at the same time, Central Connecticut, D's up at 46% inside the arc, which is number 1. So it's 1 versus 1. But when you look at the point distribution breakdown, Number three in conference play at scoring inside the arc with 52% of their total distribution of points is St. Francis. Third at giving it up is Central Connecticut. Maybe they can stay close in this game because it's not when I look at both sides and say this should be a runaway on each side. And you always know in these type of games, you're going to be fouling at the end. Maybe it's just a late 3-point shot that goes down with 5 seconds to go and they walk off the court and you get the cover. But maybe St. Francis can hang around in this one against Central Connecticut.
In a big one, of course, in the Horizon League, Robert Morris takes on Youngstown State. As we have shared, the Penguins trying to get to the big dance for the first time as a D1 program. They have been a D1 program for more than 4 decades, since 1981. Bobby Moe, as they are known on this network, the Colonials in the top team in the Horizon League. Donnie, trailing by as many as 7 in the final 7.5 minutes last night of the semifinal in Indy against Oakland, fought their way back. Greg Campy and the Golden Grizz, I think, shot themselves in the foot numerous times down the home stretch. Robert Morris won it in OT. They are a 3.5-point favorite tonight against Youngstown State.
Yeah, here's the tough part about Youngstown State. It's usually a team that I would like to line up on teams that allow you to shoot the 3-point shot. They're number one in conference play. Almost 50% of their shots come from 3-point range, and they can bury you there. But number one at defending you off of the 3-point line, that's RMU. Maybe it's just a better matchup here for Robert Morris than it is for Youngstown State, just looking at that one metric here.
Yeah, maybe so. And again, when you look at the CAA, can Delaware keep the magical run going? In all 4 wins in the conference tourney, they have shot at least 45% from 3. UNC Dub, a good team, but they will let you hoist from deep. Keep an eye on the Blue Hens diving into that one. DRS, we send you off here to the money line, my friend. Have a great time. We'll see you tomorrow on a Wednesday here on the early line. We continue with Jon Rothstein. What?
Gotta start cooking, CJGJ. Gotta get some details.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. All right, he's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. Listen, we got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. We got to move. We're a better team with Bregman.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and sort of working things out, but I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some. Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Poppy's career, he moved off first base. He went to DH. And Big Poppy was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line. It is a Tuesday in the month of March, which can mean only one thing. Jon Rothstein joins us here on TEL, courtesy of the FanDuel Sportsbook, but of course, covering the sport of college basketball like no other for CBS Sports. And John, here in the month of March, the work continues. A new podcast with CBS Sports, them taking on your show. First edition today, live at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time in the month of March. It even grows for you, my friend. Congrats on that. Excited to see what the show has in store this afternoon.
Thanks, Ben. Always great to be doing more content in March, the greatest month that we have on the calendar year. But that month has been amplified because I get to talk with you every week. So let's get at it, my man.
And that warms my heart as well. John, it is a great portion of conference tournament week on this Tuesday. Two of the high major leagues in action, ACC and the Big 12. 4 spots into the big dance at stake tonight as well. As we look at the 4 conference tournament title games in the WCC, it's St. Mary's and Gonzaga. In CAA action, which you can see tonight with Jon Rothstein providing some of that insight in studio. Can Delaware continue the magical run against UNC Wilmington? NEC conference tournament title game. The hottest team in the country, Central Connecticut, in their matchup against St. Francis. And can Youngstown State go dancing for the first time in the Horizon League final against the top team in the tourney in Robert Morris? John, of those 4 tickets to the big dance that will be punched tonight, what's the storyline everybody needs to know?
Well, I think the storyline is obviously we have such a unique matchup in the CAA tournament. You have UNC Wilmington, who was the 2 seed, has won 26 games against a Delaware team that is 3 games under 500, Ben, and was 1-11 in its final 12 games of the regular season. Delaware now just 40 minutes away from a chance to play in the NCAA tournament. And then I think we have to look at what's going to happen in Las Vegas at Orleans Arena. Gonzaga has been beaten twice by St. Mary's this season. St. Mary's, though, beat Pepperdine last night, 28-4 this year under Randy Bennett. St. Mary's has not been back to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament since 2010, which was the only time that it went under Randy Bennett. So the Gales could obviously add momentum to that quest with a victory tonight over their WCC rivals.
Both teams will be in the big dance. Where exactly on the seed line, that is at stake, in conference bragging rights, of course. St. Mary's hoping for the trifecta. 3 wins this year in all 3 games against Gonzaga. The Gales an underdog as they have been in the previous 2. But, John, the regular season at the high major level completely done in college basketball. Let's take an eye at those national championship prices that we will see in San Antonio in just a few weeks. John, when you look at the top 10 here, or maybe some teams outside of this list, how many teams right now do you think can actually win the entire thing?
You know, I would probably say 6 to 8, Ben, if we're being honest. But I also think that one of the things we're looking at right now is we're now taking the view 30,000 feet out, 5 days away from Selection Sunday. We don't have a dominant team in college basketball. Duke clearly has the best roster of any team in the sport. There's no denying that. Auburn has been the best team and has the best resume, but there are no teams this year in the sport close to what UConn was last year or close to the way UConn was playing 2 years ago when it ripped through the NCAA tournament like a chainsaw through butter. I think we could see, I would say, only 1 or maybe 2 1 seeds in the Final Four. I think we're going to see really a chaotic NCAA tournament.
Which is what we can only hope for in a tournament known for one thing above all else. That is madness. Duke ends the regular season as the outright regular season winner in the ACC and the number 1 team in the AP Top 25, that national championship favorite. As we get underway today in Charlotte for the ACC tournament, of course, John, Duke, the hefty favorite at minus 340. Such a strong favorite and well-deserved. But I ask you this question. Who do you think is the best test for the Blue Devils in the ACC tourney?
Well, I think the best test for the Blue Devils would be Clemson, but that game wouldn't happen until the championship game of the ACC tournament. So there is a chance that Duke may go through the whole ACC tournament and not play a team that's projected to be in the NCAA tournament until the title game. Now, Duke played Illinois. I know Illinois was dealing with the flu going through their team, but Duke played Illinois a couple of weeks ago at Madison Square Garden and destroyed the Illini from tip to finish at the world's most famous arena. But the question mark now, is Duke going to be battle-tested enough for the NCAA tournament? There is no doubt in my mind that this is the best roster in the sport. And I'll say this, if Tyrese Proctor can be a consistent third scoring option behind Flagg and Knipple, And if Malik Brown can give Duke that small ball 5 defensively to close games, much like Duke had in 2015 with Emil Jefferson, Duke to me will be the national champions.
Yep, it seems as though Duke is playing at the pinnacle of the sport right now, certainly on a path to do just that. Cut down the nets in San Antonio in less than 4 weeks. John, 19-1. Duke's record in the ACC this year, also the Big 12 mark for Kelvin Sampson and his Cougs in that conference. They are the 1 seed in the Big 12 tourney that starts today in KC. Not quite the minus money favorite at minus 340 that Duke is in the ACC tournament. How open is the race for the conference championship in the Big 12?
Well, it's always going to be open in the Big 12 because there's so many good teams. If you remember last year, Iowa State won the Big 12 tournament and also, blew out Houston in the process in the title game. But here's the thing, Ben. We obviously keep a close eye on conference tournaments because teams on the bubble are going to need wins in these settings to bolster their resumes for the NCAA tournament. But we have seen mixed results over the years as to what kind of momentum in a conference tournament will then lend itself to momentum in March Madness. So I'm curious to see sometimes, teams who are knocked out early in these conference tournaments get more rest, get more momentum for the big dance. I'm curious to see how that correlates. Talking to coaches, and I've seen several coaches talk about this on the record. John Calipari recently talked about it with the SEC tournament. I've heard Mick Cronin say it. The NCAA tournament is what matters. Now, you want to win every single game, and you're paid to win games. But with that said, it's really, really difficult to project just how much conference tournament success is going to correlate to what happens in the big dance.
Momentum is always key in March. You want to be playing your best at the best time of year, but not utilize all your best action before the big dance. Jon Rothstein, as always, we thank you. More on the early line up next.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. All right, he's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. Listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and sort of working things out, but I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some, Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base, he went to DH. And Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of conference tournament action in college hoops in just a moment. But of course, as we shared, the NFL free agency frenzy continues on this Tuesday morning. The big deal that Philadelphia made that is leaving everybody at the moment kind of scratching their head. C.J. Gardner-Johnson dealt by the Birds to the Houston Texans in return. Former first-round pick by Houston, Kenyon Green, and a big acquisition at the quarterback spot. Daniel Jones has signed a one-year deal with Indianapolis. The actual financials are being finalized at this moment. But Daniel Jones now makes his way to Indy, of course, released by the New York Giants in 2024, made his way to Minnesota, kind of provided that backup experience to Sam Darnold. The Vikings were hoping to maybe have him back to be the backup to J.J. McCarthy. He now makes his way to Indy, which I find very compelling and seemed almost like a natural fit because the Colts told us during Combine Week in their home city that Anthony Richardson would be involved in a quarterback competition, a QB battle this offseason, but with a quarterback to be named later. That guy is now Daniel Jones. Is he worth $40 million per year? I think we can definitively say no to that. On a discount, though, could he make some waves and be consistent enough for a franchise? Sure. And I think we're getting all indications that Indianapolis is maybe not all too pleased with Anthony Richardson or not overly optimistic about his future as the face of the franchise. It has been a struggle in terms of consistency and accuracy for AR in his 2 years in the NFL, dealing with some injuries as well. $14 million is what we're seeing here. 1 year, $14 million deal for Daniel Jones, getting paid to find his way to Indianapolis. Not overly expensive, but still a good deal for both parties. All right, let's talk some of those high major games that we will see on this Tuesday. Again, starting in just about an hour and a half in Kansas City, Missouri. We've got the Big 12 tournament opener between Cincinnati and Oklahoma State. Cincy now a 7.5-point favorite against the Pokes. I will just say this. Oklahoma State, not a great team in the Big 12 this year, but 11-9 against the spread in conference action, covering in 3 of their final 4 as an underdog. I do expect that game to be close. As we shared earlier, the Bearcats under Wes Miller, top 10 Kent Palm team back in early December. Can they find their footing? Maybe make a run in KC? We shall see. Colorado and TCU, a good one. The Buffs disappointing this year, but Tad Boyle telling everybody he will be back in Boulder. 2.5-point spread in favor of the Horned Frogs. And a good one tonight, Kansas State, Arizona State, 6.5-point spread in favor of the Wildcats. Again, disappointing year for the Sun Devils. Very disappointing year for K-State. A really talented transfer portal class led by Coleman Hawkins, who made himself an NIL bag. They started off terribly. They went on a run in the middle of the new year, kind of faded down the stretch a little bit as well. But a dangerous team, a talented team as a new season begins in a conference tournament. First game in the ACC tournament on this Tuesday. Notre Dame and Pitt. Pitt, 3.5-point favorite against the Irish. Jeff Capel will be back for Notre Dame. Same with Micah Shrewsbury, trying to turn things around in South Bend. Utah, 1.5 favorite against UCF. That's Big 12 action as well. Excuse me, you never know with some of these things. But Utah, of course, not a head coach in place currently with Craig Smith, who was let go. They do have a new head coach coming. Danny Jensen, I believe, is the name. Former Utah player, was working with the Clippers. It was the Clippers, right? Because the guy left the Sixers is going. That's Lenny Laux. Luke Laux. He's making his way to Florida State, replacing Leonard Hamilton. Final few games for Leonard Hamilton in his illustrious career, more than 2 decades in Tallahassee. Don't even worry about the other team they're playing. Just give me a moment here for a second. The fact that Red Autry is coming back to Syracuse basketball is an absolute travesty. As a proud Syracuse alum, as somebody that loves Syracuse men's basketball, we are on the brink of irrelevancy, and that sucks. Syracuse, 3.5-point dog today against FSU. Let's talk the battle for the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Both Auburn and Duke will be on the 1 line, but who ends up as the number 1 overall seed and thus gets to pick what region they play in, kind of gets to dictate their path through the big dance. Auburn's still a hefty favorite at minus 360, but these numbers just about a week ago, minus 3,500 for the Tigers to be that top overall seed. Auburn should be it. The resume is just ridiculous. 16-4 in quad 1 games, for the Tigers, but Duke does have the head-to-head advantage. We shall see. We'll talk more about that later in the week. A Wednesday, we return here on the Early Line, 8 a.m. Eastern.